Hey, this is Angie Ponsell, and I'm a local realtor here in Sandy Springs, Georgia. And this video is being shot from the historical cemetery at Sandy Springs United Methodist Church. And we're not going to talk about real estate in this video. We're going to talk about 4 ghost stories that pertain to Sandy Springs, Georgia. Here's a little background on Sandy Springs. It became popular in the 1800s, inhabited by the Native Americans because of their love of the springs with the sandy bottom, hence Sandy Springs, how we got our name. And you're going to love these ghost stories. The first one is the Black Panther story. And I got to tell you guys, I have firsthand knowledge of this one. So it's about the Native Americans. They revered the hunters in their group. And the story is, Black Panthers are known for hunting. When the hunters died, their soul inhabited a Black Panther. And if you were lucky enough to see one, then you would have good fortune and your wishes would come true. If you harmed one, then what you wanted would never come true. We were biking the other day, and 5:30 in the morning, and 2 of the guys in our bike group said, "Hey, did you see that Black Panther cross the road?" And the rest of us thought they were crazy until I heard about this story. I'm on the lookout for a Black Panther. Story is during the Civil War years, and probably because that was the harshest time and most heartbreaking time for the people here in Sandy Springs. That's when most of our ghost stories come from. And this was a heartbreaking story. In July of 1864, there was a woman whose husband was off fighting, and the Federal Army came through Sandy Springs. She had an infant, and she was malnourished, couldn't feed her infant, but she had a cow that was providing milk for the infant, and she begged them not to take the cow because the infant would die. And they took the cow, the infant died, and the mother died of grief. And not long after that, they said that there were strange lights and sounds in the woods of Hunt Cliff where the mother and child had died, coming back to haunt these army men for killing her baby. And I don't blame her. This story is about prisoners. So in the 1940s, there was this guy. He was driving on Northside Drive near Powers Ferry, and he came up on these men in the road, and he almost wrecked his car. He stopped, got out, and it was this chain gang with their picks and axes breaking up rock. So he got out and walked up to them, and when he walked up to them, they melted into the moonlight, but he could still hear them taking their picks and axes. Scared him to death, jumped back in the car, and left. And since then, several have reported hearing the chain gang working on Powers Ferry, or on Northside Drive near Powers Ferry. Well, funny enough, Sandy Springs was home to 3 convict camps. Kind of like Australia, you know, we were convicts before anything. And they were working on Northside Drive, flattening it through this mound of rock. And we have a lot of rock here in Sandy Springs, which we'll get into on another video about radon. But and you will see it if you go Northside Drive near Powers Ferry, you'll see 2 towering walls of rock, and that's where the chain gang was working. And who knows, you might get lucky enough one night to hear them. And the last story I'm going to share with you is about Heritage Museum, which is behind me across the road, located near the spring in Sandy Springs, in the center of Sandy Springs. And they've never thought it was haunted until they had Moses Robinson, who lived in Sandy Springs from 1845 to 1942, and he was a carver, and his family donated some carvings, and they had an exhibit in the museum. And one of the workers noticed in the locked case every night, some of the carvings moved and some of the display items changed position. And she thought, oh, it's just people walking through, vibration, that kind of thing. And she just chalked it up to settling, vibration, whatever, until one of his relatives came by the museum to bring some more artifacts. And she said, you know, funny thing is, at night in this locked case, they kind of change position. And he said, oh, yeah, my house has always been haunted. Growing up, it was always haunted until we took all the artifacts and brought them to you. Haven't been haunted since. So we even have a haunting in Heritage Springs. Enjoyed this video of ghost stories here in Sandy Springs, and I gotta tell you, Atlanta is full of them, and we really do have a cemetery, Oakland Cemetery, that is truly haunted, and it is a fabulous tour, but it fills up in July or June for the tours in October. If you ever come to Atlanta and you're here in October, you've got to sign up, but you got to sign up the summer prior. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and hit the like button if you liked what you heard today. And as always, Angie Ponsell, local real estate agent here in Sandy Springs, Georgia. Feel free to email, text, call me.